Anne from Holistic Wellbeing Yorkshire here. On one of our recent forest ambles, we stumbled across such an amazing crop of bilberries we thought it'd be rude not to bring some home with us, and I'm going to show you in a moment or two how I turn them into a delicious bilberry crumble. At this point on the walk, however, we were chatting about how the base of this tree looks like a miniature elemental city when we heard two distinctive knocks. They sounded like raps on a wooden door. I had a go. I knocked on a tree trunk to try and replicate the sound, but it was dull and muffled. We tried communicating further, but nothing else was forthcoming, which is a shame. So we're just wondering whether any of you have experienced any unexplained sounds like these, and if you have, please do tell us about them in the comments. Before I whisk you away into the kitchen, I thought you might like to spend a couple of minutes bilberry picking with us and having a look at some of the amazing scenery that we're fortunate to have surrounding us in West Yorkshire where we live. I hope you enjoy. Hi folks, I'm back in the kitchen and I've decided with this amazing bounty of bilberries that we've gathered, I'm going to make a bilberry crumble. Now, if you're interested in making a bilberry pie, I do have a recipe on the website and I'll put a link below in the description so you can have a look at that. We didn't actually set out with foraging in mind, we just came across a magnificent crop of blueberries, the best I've seen in many, many years. So here we are. This is just half of what we gathered. The other half I've popped into the freezer, which I will use at a later stage. But the blueberry crops have been absolutely abundant this year. So what we've picked is just a fraction of what's out there, which is good really, because we have to remember that we do need to leave some for the birds. Now, what I will say that's really important is if you are going to go out foraging, please make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're picking, because of course not everything is edible for our systems anyway. And also please do make sure that you forage responsibly. That means only taking what you need, not what you want, and leaving plenty for the birds so it'll see them over the winter. I just want to show you a close-up actually. I've had some blueberries in the freezer which I've taken out to defrost. So if you have a look at the size of the blueberry and its little equivalent here of our native bilberry, you can see that, it's at least 4, if not 5, 6 times bigger. But don't let this size fool you, because this little marvel has actually got 4 times more antioxidants than its blueberry cousin. It's also packed with vitamin C, vitamin E, manganese, so it's a real powerhouse of amazing nutrition. So just don't let that size fool you. I know they do say size matters, but in this instance, I suppose it does really. Best of all, it's free. It's direct from the plant. It's as fresh as what you can possibly gather. There's no plastic packaging or anything like that to worry about. Just stained hands. They are clean, sadly. They're just stained. I'm going to show you my method of making a crumble. Now it does contain nuts. Obviously you don't need nuts if you do have an allergy to them, but if you're okay with nuts, I find it gives it a really beautiful crunch, a real great texture to that crumble. Here I have 140 grams of self-raising flour. Now what I will do is I will put the US equivalent of the measurements and what your equivalent is of self-raising flour for you. I've also got 85 grams of chilled cubed butter, 60 grams of chopped mixed nuts, and here I've got a mixture of walnuts, hazelnuts and almonds. You need 50 grams of demerara sugar. I have some organic oats here, and I've also got some ground cinnamon and some ground nutmeg. I'll be honest with you and say I prefer actually whole nutmeg, being able to grate it myself, but I don't have that to hand right now. I wasn't actually planning on going out bilberry picking and making a pie. It just happened, so I'm not that prepared. All right, so the first thing we need to do is rub the butter into the flour until it resembles fine breadcrumbs. Now I must admit I prefer to use my food processor for this, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm also going to chop the nuts up, again using the food processor just to save time. You can of course do these by hand. If you are rubbing butter into the flour, then I recommend your hands keeping them as cold as possible to stop the butter from melting on you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the oats with the flour first, give that a whiz round, so we just reduce the size of the oats. I'm then going to add the butter in there, get that so it resembles fine breadcrumbs. Prior to that, actually, I'm going to process the nuts and get those not too finely ground, because if you are using nuts, it's great to have that little bit of a crunch in there. So I've whisked up in the food processor the rolled oats, the flour and the butter, and I've got that to a consistency, as I've mentioned before, a little bit like breadcrumbs. I'm just going to pop that into a bowl. I'm going to add the nuts that I've now chopped as well in the food processor, and I'm going to add the demerara sugar, because that adds extra crunch too. And all I'm going to do is give that a bit of a stir. So I'm just going to put this to one side now while I organise the filling, and I will add the ground cinnamon and the ground nutmeg once I've put it all together. There is a lot of crumble here, you're not going to need it all. So what you can do is you can put some in a freezer bag and keep it in the freezer until next time you're ready to make a crumble. And of course you don't think in terms of just making a big pie, you could make a little ramekin dish of something, so it's really handy to have in the freezer, and of course it saves you a little bit of time. For the pie filling, obviously you need your fruit. I think I might have mentioned, but just in case I didn't, I've got 300 grams of bilberries here. We collected 600 grams in total, which is amazing because the year before I think it was about 250 grams we picked, and I think picking blueberries is a labour of love. It really does take quite a while to do. But you know, we use it as a form of meditation. So don't think of it in terms as a chore. Think of it in terms of spending that time there out in nature. You'll hear amazing sounds. We've had buzzards flying overhead calling to us. Have been the sounds of the crickets, sounds of the wrens. It's just been an amazing experience. So yes, it is time consuming, but if you can look upon it as a meditation, then it makes it all the more worthwhile. We've got half a lemon juice here. We've got some icing sugar, which is around 100 grams of icing sugar. You'll know that as confectioner's sugar in the US. And I've also got 2 tablespoons here of corn flour, and all I'm going to do is just mix these 3 ingredients first of all into a bowl. So that's going to make quite a thick paste. can see, it has gone quite thick. I'm going to add the bilberries to this. I'm just going to use a spoon just to coat them. So just gently mixing them round. They are quite ripe. So you'll find if you are picking them, quite a few of them do end up bursting on your fingers. Hence the reason you'll see why our hands got so stained. And you know, when you taste the bilberry straight from the bilberry bush, literally they're just like little explosions of this amazing flavour. They really are beautiful, beautiful berries. So I've given those a good mix. I'm going to pop them into a pie dish. You can, I think I mentioned already earlier, you can use little ramekins, depending on how many you can pick. We're really fortunate because I know I've shown you the size of these against the blueberries, but actually there's some really big bilberries in here compared to what last year's bilberries were like. And this, with the icing sugar, it will make, they are sweet actually, the blueberries are very sweet, bilberries are very sweet themselves, but this will just give it that extra little kick. The lemon juice will give it the kick, and the corn flour will help to thicken up the juice. Okay, so we need to top that now with the crumble. And you can make the crumble topping as thick or as thin as you like. And then I'm going to bake this at 180 degrees centigrade on a fan oven, and I'll put the relevant temperatures again in the description for you. And don't forget, as I nearly did, to sprinkle on some cinnamon, ground cinnamon, obviously to taste, and some ground nutmeg, preferably grated nutmeg, because it does make that little bit of difference. Okay, that's it. I'm going to pop that in the oven, and then hopefully it's going to come out absolutely amazing, but we shall see. Now for the moment of truth. Crumble's been in the oven now for, I'd say, about 30 minutes. Obviously it depends on your oven timing. And as they say, the proof is in the pudding. So let's see what it's like. do a portion for Jonathan as well, because I'm sure when he smells this he'll be coming in to investigate. Now if you want a little bit more juice with the crumble, then do add a couple of tablespoons full of water in with the corn flour mix that you made with the lemon juice and the icing sugar. So I'm going to go for the complete unhealthy option and add some double cream. Why not? And let's do the taste test. Well, it's a little bit hot, so forgive me. That is spot on. Wow. From bush to bowl, absolutely perfect. Do give it a try, folks. Okay, so I think I can hear footsteps. There we go.
Nice.
Fruits of your labour.
Ooh.
Bilberry Crumble, you're going to give it a go.
Cream?
Yes, there is double cream.
Ooh. Not too much.
Tell me what you think.
Suspense.
Suspense.
Suspense is building. Drum roll, please.
I think the face says it all.
Is there such a place as Bilberry Heaven?
Have you been there?
I've just been there. Yeah.
Wonderful. It's not too sweet, is it?
No.
No, it's not too sweet at all. Just perfect, yeah.
It's lovely.
Wonderful. All right, folks, so if you enjoyed the video, please do subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to give it a like and press that, what do we say, that little bell thing is off. I've got the remainder here though. I am the keeper of the Bilberry Crumble. So I'm going to hide this now, otherwise it'll have all gone by the morning. All right, I hope you give it a go. If you do, please drop us a comment, let us know how you get on. Okay then, see you later. Take care. Bye.